Hello and welcome to the February 10th edition of Speedway Digest, Thursday Night Thunder, the most hardcore motorsports program on the internet. This is episode 227 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and on tonight's program we'll be talking about IMSA racing, Supercross, sim racing, as well as chatting about whatever other motorsports topic comes into the conversation. First off, we'd like to ask, are you a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner? Maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport. Contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 50 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. This show marks our first of 2022. Unfortunately, our co-host Michael is partying the night away in Utah tonight and won't be joining us. Hopefully she'll be back next week, but if not, we hope she can join us again, at least some, in 2022. Our first guest tonight is Brock Drury. His new film, The Sim Racer, is an independent film which has been in production since the fall of 2020. Filmed in the spring of 2021, actor Roman Boylan plays the main character Luke Wallace. Although the film was made with the sim racing community in mind, anyone should be able to enjoy it. Brock lives in South Georgia and has been working in media production for over 5 years. He produced a hunting TV show in the past, but his career goal was to produce a feature film. The Sim Racer is scheduled to open later this year. Let's go ahead and welcome Brock to the program.
Hey man,
So how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. What about you?
I'm doing pretty well as well. I just watched the official trailer for your movie. It looks pretty cool. But let me ask first, how did you get involved in sim racing?
Well, I got involved back in the late 90s. My parents, they bought their first computer. It was an old Gateway, and my daddy bought a NASCAR Racing 3 by Papyrus, and he bought an old V3 steering wheel. And he used to play online on NASCAR 3, and he would let me play against the AI. And eventually I moved to NASCAR Racing 2003, and that's where I got my start online. And it's a whole different world, racing online. But yeah, I've been along for the ride since probably NASCAR Racing 2003.
My next question, during the height of the pandemic, almost all racing was sim racing. Do you think the popularity of the sport will continue now that the cars have actually returned to the track?
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow. Before the pandemic, it was growing a lot, and I think the pandemic just threw it in the fast lane. Who knows where it's going to go from here, but I think it's just going to go up from here. I'd like to see it, the Coke series in iRacing, I'd like to see that be broadcasted on a channel like FS1 or something like that. I think that's one of the next steps that's going to happen, but we'll see. It's got a lot of potential.
What made you decide to make a movie about sim racing?
Well, I work in media already, and one of my career goals has been to make a feature film, and I do sim racing already, so I figured why not just make it about sim racing. So I know if somebody made a sim racing movie, I'd watch it. So yeah, back in September 2020 is when I started writing the script, and I live in South Georgia, so it's hard to find actors locally and crew locally, so I had to go to Atlanta to find those, and we started filming in March 2021, and since then I've been doing post-production on it, and it's about ready to be released.
Some of the people in the trailer look vaguely familiar. What sort of other work might we recognize some of the actors from?
They're mostly new actors. The long-haired guy, Chris Wolf, he's been in some stuff. He's had a movie come out that's doing pretty good. It's on Amazon Prime called Hideout. The main character is played by Roman Boylan, and he's just starting out, but he's a really good actor. I think he's going to do big things.
Do you have a favorite sort of sim racing? I know you've had a lot of experience in NASCAR style racing, but there's IndyCar type racing and all that as well now. Which one's your favorite?
Yeah, my favorite sim racing is NASCAR because I've done that most of my life. But I've tried dirt too. I'm just not good at that. It's crazy how different it is from asphalt racing. with asphalt racing, you can go in and turn left, but with dirt, there's so much of an adjustment because you pretty much have to drive the car with a throttle, and I still haven't adjusted to that. I've also tried the IndyCar, and I like that pretty good. It's fun. But yeah, NASCAR is my favorite.
I know one of the next steps people have said about the world of sim racing is it might lead to sort of driverless cars, and I know they're experimenting with some of those autonomous racing cars now in the FIA. How do you feel about that series?
You know, racing is almost like politics these days. Pretty much any opinion you state is going to make someone mad, but um, to be honest, I don't really care for it that much. I like the human element of racing. Like,
Yeah.
I like that you can, like a driver can go in and wash up the track and overdrive the turn or get loose. I think that's an important part of racing, and I like that I can choose a driver to cheer for. So I'm a fan of my actually having a driver in the car.
Who's your favorite NASCAR driver?
My favorite driver now. It's a hard choice. I like Ryan Blaney. I like a lot of them. My favorite growing up was Bill Elliott. Um, I also like Kurt Busch is one of my favorites too. But yeah,
And my final question for you this evening: when can we expect the feature release of the film?
um, it's definitely gonna be out this year. There's a few things I'm working on now with editing, working on sound. I gotta get a few more pickup shots. I'm shooting for this summer, but it's definitely gonna be out this year sometime. If people want to follow at the Sim Racer Film on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, they can see the trailer and they can stay updated on when the release date will be.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and I sent that out on Twitter. I'll send it out on Facebook after the show's over, and hopefully we'll get to see it when it comes out, and maybe we can have you back on and see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, it was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you as well, and thank you very much for your time this evening.
Yeah,
Have a great night.
you too.
Once again, that was Brock Drury. His new film, The Sim Racer, is scheduled to come out probably this summer. It might come out a little bit later. It might come out a little bit earlier. It depends on all the timing. As he stated, go ahead and follow him on Twitter. The easiest way is to follow him on Twitter. I'll go ahead and share the information on Facebook as well. But on Twitter, you can follow him at the Sim Racer Film. That's at the Sim Racer Film. It was just shared on my Twitter page about an hour ago. So be sure to check that out there. Get the trailer online, and it's all good. As I say it, I'll put on Facebook after the show is over this evening. We are planning on having another guest tonight. It's going to be Ryan Dungey, the Motorsports Supercross legend. He's been retired for a couple of years now. Most of his work is in charity, working with the Ryan Dungey Foundation. He'll be on in about 10 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and talk to him this evening. It'll be pretty awesome. It'll be neat to see what he's doing and how he feels about the world of Supercross, how it's evolved over the past several years. We'll go ahead and talk to him about that. The original plan for tonight's show, if you follow me on social media, you'll know that the original plan for tonight's show was not only to have Brock Drury on, but to talk a little bit about IMSA racing, as I did attend the Rolex 24 at Daytona about 10 days ago now. It was a really awesome race, great weekend of racing. Really, really cold. Pretty much the coldest it's ever been there at the track, although there are some people who argue that. The one guy said it was 17 there at one point, and I don't doubt that. But it was the coldest overall for the weekend. They didn't have any snow. They didn't have sleet, no freezing rain, luckily. But it was really cold. It was in the 40s pretty much on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It didn't stay in the 40s on Friday or Saturday. It did warm up a little bit, but pretty much all day on Saturday it was 40, 50, something like that. Sunday it warmed up quite a bit, but still it started out like 32 degrees on Sunday morning, and that was a little bit too chilly for me, and a little too chilly for my father actually too. So we didn't end up staying for the end of the race. We did end up staying for the beginning of it. We were there roughly 2 hours before the race ended. Is when we finally headed out. So that was pretty good. It was a great event, a great time of the weekend, and we're going to have two awesome people on next week to help review it. We're going to have Valerie Deleroy, who was involved with the race as a documentarian. She did the "Become Who You Are" film, which highlights some guys from Le Mans. So that was pretty cool to talk to her there. She was on, and we're also going to have Vicki Miller, who's probably one of the super fans of sports car racing. She also attends other races throughout the year from her home base there in northern Florida. Our next guest this evening is Ryan Dungey. Minneapolis native and Supercross champion Ryan Dungey continues to rev up support for the fight against childhood cancer with the first major gift from the Ryan Dungey Foundation, supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for $60,000 in honor of the hospital's 60th anniversary. Ryan has been a longtime supporter of Children's Hospital, and this is the first donation from the foundation since it started in the fall of 2021. We're now very pleased to welcome Ryan Dungey to the program. Hello, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
I got you. Yep.
Awesome. Well, for those who might not be aware, can you tell us a little bit more about how you first got started in the world of motorsports?
Yeah, so for me, it started pretty much with my dad. He did it growing up as a kid, and naturally, when he had my older brother and I and my younger brother, he each got us a bike, and it just stemmed from there. Went to the local track and got hooked on it, dirt bikes, of course, and just from there, saw it on TV and kind of always try to make an attempt to go to the pro nationals, the supercross races and all that. And just kind of, it was just something that always stuck. We played all the ball and stick sports, which was fun, but the motocross, the dirt bike was just something that we never could get enough of.
What's the best part about your work with the Ryan Dungey Foundation?
I would say, just the crew that we have behind us. I think, early on in my racing career, we supported St. Jude, and ultimately, after that, we had the ride here in Minnesota, which we had every year, and then we just ultimately I wanted to do more than that and give back, and especially in the two-wheel space. So it was a nice extension just to start the foundation. The beneficiaries are St. Jude and All Kids Bike organization, and St. Jude's a great place between the cancer research and everything that they're doing just to help the kids around the world cure cancer. Can't say enough good things about it. And then ultimately, All Kids Bike is a great organization as well that puts learn to ride programs in schools and just giving these kids an opportunity to ride two wheels. And that means a lot to me just because from my background, I see what two wheels, where it led me, and kept me out of a lot of trouble, kept me out of the house, and just something set my sights on a goal to look forward to. And so giving these kids that same opportunity, whatever the pathway they want to take them, even if it's just getting them out of the house and not playing video games. So it's a pretty cool deal. They put the Strider bikes with these you can put the pedals on them as well. And these kindergarten schools, and just giving these underprivileged kids a chance to show themselves and give them opportunity.
Awesome. Last year, Supercross returned to some of the old favorite tracks, but on a heck of a show. For 2022, it seems as though they reduced their schedule again, as well as some of the nationwide travel compared to last year. Which track on the series that they've competed in the past but no longer visits do you think they should return to in the future?
Which ones they visited before that they're not at now?
Yeah, but you think they should return to it? Like for the example, last year my father and I went to the race at the Citrus Dome there in Orlando, and that was awesome. And I'm kind of disappointed they took that off the race schedule for this year.
Yeah,
but I wonder if there's other ones that you'd like as well.
Yeah, I don't think Houston's on there on the schedule of stop this year, and that one for me, that was always I loved going to Houston. The dirt was really good, the stadium was good, the crowd was always good, so. That's one. I'd say Minneapolis, but they came back here this year, so that'll be exciting. Yeah, shoot. I mean, I can't think of too many off the top of my head. There's a lot of good venues we raced at over the years I missed that aren't on the schedule anymore.
I know you've been retired for a couple of years now, but how often do you actually make it out to the track?
To ride or to watch the races?
To watch the races.
I would say. Gosh, last year I made it about 4 or 5 times. So
okay.
that was probably the least I had gone in all my time with being involved with the racing. But yeah, just life's different now. We got a little Harper girl, and we got another baby boy on the way here in a few weeks. So just life changes a little bit, but that's okay.
How many events do you do for the foundation? What sort of appearances do you do there? What sort of stuff do you do working with the foundation?
Yeah, so we kicked off in June of last year, or launched the foundation, and then we actually had our first ride out in California called Opportunity Waits. It was at Fox Raceway. So that was our first big event that we had. Fox being a huge founding partner of ours, they opened up the whole facility for us. It was right after the Pro Nationals, so we were able to have a really cool ride day. That went really well. It's really successful. Had a good turnout. I think a little under 500 entries, which was amazing for the first year. So we look to do that every year. We're actually in the discussions of talking about this year's ride as well for Opportunity Waits, and then we have one here in Minnesota too. It's up in Chisago at a track called the BP Motor Ranch. Really good facility. It's a private track, but the just the dirt, how they developed the track, the Lohr family, they just did an outstanding job just making this thing what it is. And so in 2021, in 2020, we had a ride day there that we just it took us about 6 weeks to put it together, and it turned out to be really successful. We raised good money, and so when we started the foundation, we're like, naturally we need to have this ride happen in Minnesota as well. So last year went great too, and so we look to do that, and that both of those rides will take place pretty much in September. We'll send out dates here, but outside of that, we're just doing other stuff with our partners. KTM, one of them, we're going to be launching a really fun fundraising campaign that the KTM Junior kids are doing. That'll be launched in a couple weeks here, so that'll be exciting news. And just between our founding partners and then all of our fundraisers and donors, just helping us raise money, and then we'll also work on other events as well here in the future to bring about as well to raise money too.
Awesome. And my final question for you this evening: how are you enjoying your retirement?
Yeah, retirement's good. It's a little bit different change of pace, going from wide open to, things are pretty mellow, but that's okay. We, definitely enjoying it. Me and my wife, we ended up moving to Minnesota here. And so we're, like I told you, we got a daughter, expecting another. And so we're just, a lot of time with the family, which has been great, and just kind of applying myself to other things. And got a coffee company, which has been really fun adventure, and now with the foundation too. And so, yeah, just trying to take my time of before I jump into too many things, and just really enjoy it as well too. We worked hard to be in this position too, so really want to not take it for granted either.
And if my listeners are interested in following you around and seeing what sort of new stuff you're working on, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I would say pretty much through the Instagram. It seems like everybody that's a good channel. So yeah, Ryan Dungey through Instagram. Obviously got Twitter too, and I'm not too crazy into the Facebook. I have a Facebook, and I post on there and whatnot. But yeah, between all the social channels, I'd probably say that's the best bet. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'd like to thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, and wish you all the luck in the world and in your future with the foundation you're working on. And possibly we'll have you on maybe next year and see what else you've got going on in the world of motorsports and charity events.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you guys having me on tonight, and we'll look forward to doing it again here real soon.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
You too.
Once again, that was Ryan Dungey, who's the Supercross legend there. Ryan Dungey is mostly involved now with the Ryan Dungey Foundation, as well as his other charitable events. And be sure to follow him on Instagram, as you stated, as well as on Twitter. I posted a little bit of information about him on Twitter earlier this evening, so be sure to check that out. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the show a little bit earlier this evening, but I want to go ahead and thank our guests tonight, Brock Drury, as well as Ryan Dungey. It's pretty awesome to get to talk to both of them tonight, and it was rather, I know we've had it scheduled for a while, but the show actually came together rather quickly this week, so it's pretty cool. Always good when that sort of stuff comes together. Again, next week we're going to be going ahead and recapping the Rolex 24 with our guest Vicki Miller and Virginie I'm going to screw up her last name. Pardon me 1 second. Let me go ahead and look up her last name once again so I don't screw it up too much. It's Virginie Delaroy. Hopefully I didn't screw that up too much. But she will be on the show next week, as well as Vicky Miller, to go ahead and recap the Rolex 24 at Daytona and preview the Sebring 12-hour race as well. So that'll be good to talk to both of them. I did get a chance to hang out a little bit with Vicky at the Rolex 24, and Virginia is always an interesting person to talk to. She has a wide breadth of knowledge about motorsports, and she gets an interesting perspective from behind the camera. Be sure to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder, as well as the other shows on the Speedway Digest Radio Network at speedwaydigest.podbean.com. You can also check out the show on Facebook by searching for Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder in the search bar, or simply going to facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder. Also invite you to read articles covering all aspects of motorsports at speedwaydigest.com. I did post some information about the Rolex 24, although we are now apparently reposting the IMSA news service stuff directly, which makes it cool. Be sure to check that out. I also have some awesome stuff that we're covering for speedwaydigest.com, including some information about some new W Series events, as well as some sponsorship things that are taking place there with the World Series of Asphalt there at New Smyrna Speedway, and a few other things that you may not hear about all the time in the world of motorsports. That's kind of what I like to cover, things that might slip through the cracks and that sort of stuff. Again, if you are a driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner, maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport, we'd love to have you on the show. Please contact us. The easiest way to do that is to go to speedwaydigest.com and search for my name. I'm Adam Sinclair. I'm the special features editor of speedwaydigest.com. You can find me in the racing news section most of the time there. Be sure to check that out at the bottom of the page. You can just click on my name and my contact information is right there. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida, and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our Slice of Paradise at my podcasting/blog site, For Plums Fantastic Finds. It can be found on Facebook, on Twitter, at ForBorePlums or at PB Happening, and by heading to ForBorePlumsFantasticFinds.wordpress.com. That's FABORPLUMBS FantasticFinds.wordpress.com. Once again, we'd like to thank you for listening and look forward to seeing you again next week in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing. We're going to have a little bit of stuff about the Rolex 24, of course, but we're also going to talk a little bit more about NASCAR, which is coming up quickly. They did have their first race this past weekend. Congratulations, Joe Logano, on that. And it'll be pretty interesting to see how that season goes with the new cars pretty much in NASCAR, the new cars coming up in IMSA, and some new stuff coming up in the world of two-wheeler racing as well. Be sure to check that out. We'll be back here next week to keep you informed as we can, at least. And have a great night, and we'll see you next week.